Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Brokerpreneur podcast. I am Dr. Ben Spears, the ambassador of the flow.
Yo!
I'm here with the big guy, real estate expert, guru, industry thought leader. Trying to think of all the names I could call you.
Well, those are all cool. I like them.
And they're all accurate. Matt Vi. How's it going, Matt?
Doing absolutely fantastic. I appreciate all the kudos there, Ben. That's awesome.
Okay. You're welcome. But I got to tell everybody this. This is a big deal to me, guys. It's probably not a big deal to Matt because Matt's like, psh, man, I do that all the time. Matt is going to be interviewed on a webinar for Entrepreneur Magazine on September 21st, talking about inflation, the recession, and how
what
you
the hell to do about it?
Yeah, how you can not look at that as an obstacle. And maybe turn that into an opportunity.
Yep.
So, man, I'm just so proud of you.
Yeah. If you want to tune in live that day, because I don't know if there'll be a replay or anything like that, just go to my LinkedIn page, and and I shared something on there that Jill shared with us.
For sure.
So people can go there and register. So
yeah, if you're listening to this before September 21st, 2022, 12 p.m.
Right.
Eastern time, then there'll be a link in the description of this podcast. And I'll probably end up throwing that link into every podcast up until that point. So make sure that you take a look at that, Matt.
Yep.
Entrepreneur, you celebrity,
whatever.
You know it's the truth. What we talking about today, man? I just asked the questions.
Yeah. So who do you hang out with? Are they productive? And what do you take away from hanging out with them?
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Who do you hang out with?
I hang out with you, Ben.
Same here, man.
You hang out with you?
I'm an only child. So even when I'm with other people, I'm usually just hanging out with me.
I'm the youngest of six. There's always people around.
Yeah.
That's why there's always voices in my head.
Yeah. You're used to that. I'm like, 3 people. What do you expect me to do? So, all right. So, man, the people, we've heard that all the time, right? It's like the 5 people you hang out with the most, end up, influencing your life and, so many things. I definitely tell my kids that, right? I know you've told your kids that too, because it's the truth.
It is.
It is just
you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. See, that's why they interview you and not me. I say things like, I don't know how to say it, but I'm pretty sure this is what it means.
And somebody brilliant quoted it.
So if you do this, you'll build a strong network.
Right.
And when I say that, I don't mean necessarily just a network of like, oh, I know home inspectors and I know all these people. We're talking about that, obviously, but also like a support network.
Absolutely.
Right. And not like a hotline.
Right.
It could be a hotline.
Kind of is.
If you need one.
Right.
But let's talk a little bit, about building that network of support.
Yeah. So let's talk about the word network, right? Because vocabulary is everything.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
Okay. So whenever we talk about network, right, we want you to have a network of people around you that absolutely sends you recruits, right?
Yeah.
We want you to have a network of people around you that I use this example all the time. 9:00 at night on a Sunday, something goes wrong in somebody's house. You want to be able to pick up the phone and call that type of person, and that type of person at least reach out to those people, answer your phone call and reach out to those people. Absolutely, that's a strong type of network to have. But we also want you to have a network, and again, this is not a pitch, right? I've said some things on recent podcasts that we've done that, I don't want this to come across as a pitch. That's why we have some of the groups that we have that our clients actually attend. That's why we have the Not So Secret Society.
Yep.
Right? We've got the Not So Secret Society absolutely positively free for anyone to come into. No pressure.
Yep.
Come in, go in there, share, collaborate, win together. Because we want you to have that network that makes you get better.
Yes.
That's why we have classes every day of the week that we encourage you to share and be in there and be with other entrepreneurs that are in other industries and everything. We want you to have a network that is the type of network that you can be intentional with, the type of growth that you're trying to have.
Yeah.
And so what that means is, if you're trying to recruit, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you're trying to attract the right people into your office. You're trying to make outbound. You're trying to connect with people. You're trying to go out and get the people that are going to help your office be more financially productive.
Yep.
Are you hanging out with people that do that type of thing? Are you hanging out with people that's important to them in their business, and that they would support you doing it in your business? Is that who you're hanging around? Or are you hanging around a bunch of people that are failing?
Yeah.
And man, they want to give you a bunch of ideas about how you should do things, and you're like, wait a minute, if it was as easy as what you're saying, how come you're not doing it and winning in what you're doing? Right?
That's exactly right.
And so that's one of the things about us. Both of us have achieved a lot in a lot of things that we've done, and we want to make sure that we share that as much as possible with the people that come in and connect with us through our network. And so a big thing for us is, when we say network, yes, we mean lead generation network.
Yeah.
But when we say network, we also mean business building network.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be in real estate.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many people do we interview?
I know exactly
on this podcast that have no industry experience,
right?
But come on here and drop truth bombs
all day long.
All day long.
Yeah. And that's what we want. We want you to be able to have those people around you on a regular basis, because those people are going to open your mind a little bit. I said this in the last podcast. The most expensive thing an entrepreneur can have is a closed mind. Right?
Yep. You're exactly right. I like that quote. We should put that on a T-shirt or something.
Yep.
Guys, if you want to buy that T-shirt, I'm just joking. Whatever. We need merch. We need to get merch ASAP. I'm going to share a video. I share these little stories. I watch videos and motivational things, and on the way to school every single morning, I put my Bluetooth on the car, and I hand my boys the phone in the back seat, and now they go to different schools, different times, so they can actually hold it individually, and I just play like some kind of video. It's like 3 minutes long, and it's like, today, you're going to have a great day, or Kobe Bryant talking about Mamba mentality and all these kind of things. It's trying to get their head in the right place every single morning. I'm just trying to plant those little seeds. And this is coming to network, or as I like to call it, connect work.
Okay. I got you.
This is coming back to network, so bear with me. There was a clip of Allen Iverson, who's just one of the greatest point guards of all time, that kind of thing, and he said, we would be out at the club partying every night, and I won't use his language, but he would say, he's talking about Kobe. Man, that guy would be at the gym. Mm-hmm. That guy would be at the gym. And all I would ask you guys is, if you're looking to build that network, 4 or 5 people, are you hanging out with the people that are there at the club? Mm-hmm. Or are you hanging out with that guy he's at the gym?
Right.
And even though Allen Iverson was great, man, he's not in my personal opinion, he's not in that same league with Kobe Bryant and all those. Yeah,
completely agree. But I'll point something out there along that line.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want just people that are just working out that hard. Right. You've got to
be balanced.
Absolutely, got to have those 5 people have to have a balance to them, right?
Yeah.
Because if that's not how you're wired, and 5 people you're hanging around are just that way, the entire time you're just going to feel like you're failing, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about having a productive network, maybe that part of it is, do you push yourself in your fitness so that you can be the best you can be in what you do? Or do you push yourself in your lead generation? Or do you push your agents in their coaching or whatever, right? Maybe that's where that part fits. But the other person that might be, part of your networking group is, Charlie Munger, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Warren Buffett gets a lot of the street cred, because he should get a lot of the street cred, right?
Yep.
But Charlie Munger was right there the entire time.
And
what a lot of people don't know is back in the 60s, just before like 68, 69, there was actually 3 of them, and I don't remember the other guy's name, which speaks to that, right?
Yep.
Okay, but there was another guy that was with them that was equally as brilliant, but wanted to build his profitability quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, everyone knows who Warren Buffett is,
of course.
Berkshire Hathaway. A lot of people know who Charlie Munger is.
Yeah.
And I keep up with this kind of stuff, and I can't remember that other cat's name.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
Right? And so I'm sure he went on to whatever success he went on to, smart guy, all that kind of stuff, not taking anything away from anybody. But he had, the biggest loss for him probably was not being around those other people that kind of pushed him in a certain direction with consistency. Now, with that being said, there's also a couple of other people, as a matter of fact, that, a big part of Warren Buffett's wealth came because he's very good about sticking with the right investment. Mm-hmm. He's not a buy it, sell it, flip it kind of guy.
Oh, for sure.
But there's been some people that started a lot later in life than Warren Buffett did, that have had a lot better annual returns than Warren Buffett did. Yep. If they had the same lifetime return that Warren Buffett did, they would be exponentially wealthier than him. And all there's 3 or 4 of them. All of them would be by far individually. One of them would be the richest person in the face of the earth, individual person. So a lot of it has to do with who are you around, and what is their philosophy, and how much do they think about their decisions? How hard do they practice? How hard do they train? How hard do they focus on what they want to achieve? But some of it might be a guy that is just, he's great at finance, right? Yeah. And somebody else might be just a motivational person that's gonna keep driving. And somebody else might be somebody that has failed in 10 other businesses. We got a good friend that, has a thriving business now, but his first 4 or 5 businesses, if you ask him, he's like, they were dumpster fires. Yeah. Right? Absolutely. And he's just a super nice guy and focuses on a certain piece of the business that he just absolutely loves because he figured out through dealing with those dumpster fires. Yeah. Right. And so who is it that you're surrounding yourself with? What were they good at? What were they highly productive at? And make sure that you're diversifying what that productivity is.
Yeah. So, you're saying, you don't want to hang out with 5 Kobe's, right? Because, you'll feel like, man, I just can't keep up. Mm-hmm. Right. Does that mean every circle, if you're looking at your 5 people as your circle, needs like a cousin Eddie?
Yes. All of them need a cousin Eddie.
Yeah. And if your circle doesn't have one?
Right. Well, just
that
text
means it's
us.
you.
Just text us. That's not what I was going to say.
I know, but that's the joke.
Yeah. But just text us. We'll hook you up with one.
Yeah, absolutely. Every family has a cousin Eddie.
Yep.
And if your family doesn't, it's
you. That's right.
So we're building that network of support. We're talking about growing our business. Of course, we have tremendous, tons of ideas, going everywhere as broker owners of our brokerages or managers, recruiting managers. One thing that this is going to help you, networking with all these people, it's going to allow you to test, are your ideas smart ideas? Yep. Are your ideas genius ideas? Yep. I'm not even going to go negative. Right. Right. Because everybody just has great ideas. Right. It's just, do you execute on them?
Absolutely.
Right. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So whenever it comes down to great business ideas, the ultimate way to test them is the market.
Yes.
Okay. But you don't have to go through all of that to bring something to the market to see whether it's it's viable or not, right? Yeah. Okay. So and that's why a lot of ideas die, right? Because a lot of people think, hey, this is a fantastic idea, and they spend a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy, and then they deploy it to the market incorrectly, okay? Or they deploy it to the market and it was a terrible idea, right? Yeah. And then they fail, right? Or sometimes they're like, man, I think this is going to be a great idea. And they talk to a couple of people and people are like, oh man, that's a horrible idea. I'd never do that. And then that idea never gets anywhere. And then the next thing you know, 5 years later, you're sitting at dinner with them and they're crying in their soup. And the reason why is because somebody else executed on that idea.
That's exactly
and that
right.
person's immediately a billionaire.
Yeah.
Right? So what you have to do is you just have to accept the fact that some things are going to be a great idea, and they should be vetted, and they should be tried out. They should be beta tested. You can ask people's opinions on it. If you read books, some books say never, ever, ever ask the people around you whether something's a good idea or not. Yep. And other books say, man, you better ask everybody around you whether it's a good idea or not, and then take that feedback with a grain of salt and do whatever it is that you need to do. Yeah. So I'm typically the second person, right? Yeah. I like to kind of get input from people, and part of the reason why is, we've talked about this before, I kind of hear what people mean, not what they say. Yep. And so when I ask people stuff like that, it kind of tells me a lot by how they respond and what they're thinking. Sometimes I've watched people downplay ideas, but they were excited about them, and you could tell. Right. Yeah. And then other times, people, I could tell they were just flat out lying. Right. They acted excited about something, and they were absolutely just not excited about it. And I could tell. Right. And not always, but a lot of the time. And so to me, that just gives me feedback. That just gives me input.
Yeah.
And that way on all of those things, I don't have to go directly to market and go through everything that it takes to get to market in order to try something out. What does that mean for recruiting? What does that mean for retention? And what does that mean for per agent productivity?
Yeah.
For recruiting, that means if you try a recruiting system as an example, or if you try some recruiting letters as an example, or if you connect with someone who happens to have a school where people are getting licensed and it doesn't work out exactly the way that you want immediately, that doesn't necessarily mean just throw out that idea.
Yeah.
It means take another fresh approach at it, maybe get some opinion from other people that have used that program or similar programs to it, and reshape it, right?
Yep.
So we've got recruiting letters that we offer people all the time.
Yep.
Biggest mistake that people make is they get the recruiting letters and they send them out without even looking at them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Happens all the time.
Hello, first name.
Yeah, almost that bad. Right.
Hey guys, this episode of the Brokerpreneur.
Take one Saturday afternoon for an hour and open them up, retype them, get the look and feel for them, make them your flair. Don't do too much or too little to them. Just make them yours, right? And then be consistent with them, and you're going to get results from those. I'm not a big fan of that, but I know it works.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, there's no doubt in my mind that works, right? And so take that and grab onto it and try that idea. And if that one isn't going the way that's supposed to, or if it doesn't fit, go try another business idea and go try another one for recruiting, for per person productivity, right? Are you putting people in touch with a coach? Are you coaching them? Are you sending them articles on a daily basis about prospecting? What is it that you're doing to try to make them as productive as possible? Okay.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love it. So, if as you're saying, what can you do to develop them, make them more as productive as possible? Of course, we want to make our brokerages more productive as possible. Part of that, it all comes from self-understanding, and that's also something that you get, based on the people that you hang out with. Right? You talked just a second ago. Maybe you want that person that's really good in finance. Or you want that person just like super motivating, right? You also want that person, and maybe just each one of those people's feedback as you start going through these ideas and that kind of thing, and vetting them. You also want those people to kind of look at you as a human being,
right? Absolutely,
and say, gosh, like, man, I think this is a behavior, right? That maybe you could, add into your routine, or, when I talk to you, and they're good friends, right? They're in your inner circle. When I talk to you, I feel like, you really talk about, just all the things that are going wrong right now. Right. Or when I talk to you, you only talk about the things that are absolutely perfect and it's sunshine and rainbows. But your bicycle used to be a bicycle, but now it's a unicycle, and you're riding it to work every day. Man, let me help you get a car. It can't be that great. Right. So let's talk about, self-understanding, self-efficacy, and we call it. And
self-efficacy.
Yeah. Let's talk about that, and how the people can help you.
Yeah. So as soon as you can recognize your failures, as soon as you can see your failures, you'll start to understand your inner strengths and weaknesses. Yes. As soon as you take a real look at your failures and you go, okay, oh, this didn't happen because of this. I didn't win because of that. This changed because of whatever. As soon as you can do that, you can take a look at yourself and go, okay, is that really something I want to be better at? Yeah. Right? Because there's a lot of times that we fail at something and we're just like, man, I'm so cool with failing at that because I never want to be good at that. Right? Yeah. So if you can take the things that you succeed at, that you win at a high level, and you can honestly, decide to keep or throw out the things that you fail at. Yep. You start ending up with more high quality wins, and a very easy way to make sure that you're muddling through all of that, right, is to be around productive people. Because then you can ask them things. You can say, hey, listen, I had this recruiting appointment, or I've been coaching this agent and I'm not getting anywhere with them. This is what I've been talking to them. And when I said this is what happened. And they're like, well, you said that, but why didn't you say this instead? Then all of a sudden in your head, you're going, okay, Is it because that's not me to say that? Is it because I don't believe that to say that? Or is it because I just didn't think of it? I just didn't understand it, right?
Yeah.
So now at that point, you're going, okay, how do I make myself more effective? Can I take what that other person heard and saw and what I relayed to them and lean back into myself and make it better? Can I actually do that? Or is it not something that I want to do? Now you can focus on that part of the decision instead of figuring it out, because you're able to bounce that off of other people that are in your network that are great people that are there to help.
Yeah. And what I would what I would tell each and every one of you is use that to thicken your skin a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's on our show notes. Yep. But use that to thicken our skin, because sometimes sometimes we all just get to the point where it's like, man, I can't believe you said that. Doesn't matter who said it.
Right.
And you know, that's one of the, I think that honestly that's I don't want to make everybody else feel bad, because you guys aren't like good friends with like Matt and I are. You got some pretty good friends, I guess. But you know as well as I do, right? We can walk in this studio and just flat out flat out tell it like it is.
Yep.
Man, we need to work on this, or we need to work on that.
Yep.
And there's never any pointing fingers. It
Absolutely.
is never anybody's
Let's get it
fault.
done.
But man, we get focused and we want to get this stuff done. Sorry, I got stuff in my throat, but you're just gonna have to listen to me. I don't know, talk like this. But use this as your ability to thicken your skin a little bit. And as soon as you do, and you can say, all right, yeah, that makes sense. What that person said, that makes perfect sense.
Man, you grow so much quicker.
Man, so much quicker. It is just like, and that's, there's a great book called The 4 Agreements.
Yep.
And I can't always remember all the agreements, but the one that I always remember is don't take things personally.
Yep.
Right. And so, we talked last time about, Stu,
right.
Struggling on like the second day of him having a stick shift. And, the third day he was, right as rain.
Right.
And people were honking and blah, 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 blah. Man, can you imagine if he had just like taken that all personal, and like how the rest of his day would have been, and
how he'd still be right now.
Yeah,
he'd hate that car. And it's a 4-door Jeep, man. The thing is modded up. It's jacked up.
Sick.
It's absolutely ridiculous Jeep. Can you imagine if he hated getting in that just because he held on to that stuff that happened? And I walked him through it. I'm like, hey, look, this is going to happen, and here's what you need to do, and you need to make sure it's in the right gear and all that kind of stuff. I walked him through it, but he had to go through that in order to, right? But he had somebody that helped walk him through it.
Yes.
So, and he had somebody to say, this is the way that it is. And then after it was over, I laughed at him. I was like, after he got home and he was telling me the story and he was done being, whatever he was about it, scared, upset, anxious, all that kind of stuff. I was giving him a hard time and joking around with him about it. And I said, man, how do you feel? How do you feel about it now and everything? And he was making jokes just right, because he's now a more effective person.
Yes.
He is actually better. He has, because of him going through that, he's a better person. And because he was there with me to make sure that he wasn't taking it the wrong way. And then as soon as he wasn't, we made light of it together.
Yes.
And that's what you want from your network. You want people like that can be real with you.
Yeah.
You made a comment just a second ago that, we can come in here, and if something's not the way it's supposed to, Ben's like, hey, Matt, that's not the way it needs to be, right? Now, same thing with me. Hey, Ben, that's not the way that it needs to be. But that's not just reserved with us.
Of course.
Man, we've got all kinds of friends and people that we talk to all the time, and they'll say things, and we're like, holy crap, that's exactly right. We need to change that, and we're nimble and we change it.
Yep.
Because we can't take that personal, because we surround ourselves with certain people in order to be able to get that benefit. Why the hell would we not take that benefit when we get it?
Yeah. If you can't be honest with us,
right?
Man, we ain't got time for that.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the flip side.
Right. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, but that's how we all grow. Everyone in our network wants to grow.
Yep.
So that's probably that little factor that you can put in there. We talk about a culture of growth all the
Absolutely.
time. And so, whether it be in your brokerage, the agents that you have, or just the 5 people that you hang out with, maybe they don't all have to be Kobe's, but in some form or fashion, they want to grow.
That's it. And they're there to help.
Yeah, exactly. So, the last thing we're going to be talking about, Matt, if you do all this, it's going to just make you a more resilient and really just a smarter entrepreneur altogether in anything that you do in the future. So talk to us a little bit about that. I will wrap it up. And then I'm going to share a little... this is how my brain works. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like a 30-second, we'll call it Ben's marketing moment. We've never had one of those, and there will not be another one.
Okay. Promise.
But I'm going to title it for this because you were talking about something, and man, I just had a great marketing idea.
Okay.
So go ahead.
We'll hold on to it, and I'll be super short with this part. That way we don't forget that piece.
Sure thing.
Okay. So if you want to be a great entrepreneur, you got to bounce back.
Yes.
I don't ever remember hearing any entrepreneurial story of somebody going, "Oh my gosh, I tried this one day and I'm ridiculously successful."
I
and
bounced once and I kept going.
That's exactly right. That's just absolutely not the way that it worked, right?
Yeah.
How many social networks did Zuckerberg try before he got Facebook, right? And so all the way around, you have to be willing to fail over and over in order to achieve. The tough part is, and I think everybody knows that. I think brokers know that. It's not like you and I are coming up with some epiphany on that. But I will say this. How many times are you willing to fail? And once you put a number on that, can you fail another time after that?
Yeah.
And 100%, that is how you have to look at it. As soon as you say, I'm only going to fail 3 times, you better bet your ass there's going to be a 4th or 5th time.
Yeah.
Right?
Double it.
That's exactly right. So you just have to be willing to do that. If you can do that, you can be more effective. If you can do that, the people around you, your network, they're going to appreciate that in you.
Oh, you know it. They're going to see it.
Absolutely. And they're going to, and pretty soon you're going to be the person that they're talking about, like Kobe.
Yeah. And as soon as you break through those walls,
look out.
Man, your confidence, just the way that you stand.
Yep.
Just the way that you physically will look standing there is gonna be so
superpose.
Yeah, so different than how everyone sees you, and everyone's gonna ask like, "Man, what's something going on with you today? What's up? Is that a new shirt or something like that?" You're like, "No, I broke through a wall."
Yeah. So Ben, tell us about a marketing moment, man. I got to hear it.
Yeah.
You got me excited.
I mean, this is almost like a little bit self-serving. I want everybody's feedback on this. So send me an email, Ben at prospectboomerang.com. Let me think. Give me some ideas of how I can use this. You were talking. Your name's Matt Vi, right? VIGH. And we coach, we do all these things. Brokerpreneur, not so secret society, Brokerpreneur fast track, and all that. You said several times throughout this podcast, you used the words viable and viability, and I immediately just started thinking like, man, I got to do something with that. There's got to be something that says like vi in one color and ability, coming after that. And I don't know what it is, guys. I'm going to be thinking about it. Send me an email if you have a great idea of how I can use that. But that's
vitality.
That's how my brain works, right? I hear those things, and I immediately stop listening to anything Matt's saying, and I can't think about anything else.
That's what most people do.
Other than how can I use?
Usually it's at the point where I piss them off with something that I said.
Viable, right? And why haven't I thought of that in the last 2 years?
Yeah.
So
3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. That's exactly right. How many episodes is this?
Episode 240.
Yeah, because the podcast is only it's like 224.
Okay,
give or take none.
Right.
Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys listening as always.
We're so grateful.
Yeah, we just love it. And do us a favor, wherever you're listening to that, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, please hit that follow button. If you're watching us on YouTube, hit that red subscribe button if you haven't already, and then hit that little bell right beside of it, and you'll get notified every time Matt and I record our voices and put it online.
Not every time.
Yeah, maybe not every time. That's right. Every time we upload a new episode, please go to brokerpreneurpodcast.com. Sign up for our next Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Society. Also, take a sneak peek of our Brokerpreneur Fast Track that will help you grow your brokerage no matter what phase or stage of the business that you're in. Matt, we do this podcast for one reason and one reason alone, and it's not just to help everybody with their viability.
Nah.
Why is it?
It's because we want to be part of their win, Ben.
That's right.
That's right.